Let's talk about you voters in Colorado headed to the polls today for your state's primary election, choosing who replaces term-limited Democratic Governor Jared Polis. Now, U.S. Senator Michael Bennet, Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser, they're competing for the Democratic nomination. The winner will face off against one of these three Republican candidates in November: State Representative Scott Bottoms, State Senator Barbara Kirkmeyer, and Pastor and Marine Corps veteran Victor Marks. Plus, a Democratic Socialist challenges 15-term incumbent Congresswoman Diana DeGette. DeGette in Colorado's 1st Congressional District. Live to CBS News political reporter Zak Hudak in Washington, D.C., watching all of this. So you're reading the Colorado tea leaves, as they could be referenced to. What are they suggesting about shifting winds?
Reed, I think the most interesting place to look is at Colorado's first district. That is DeGette's current district, which she's held for about 30 years. What's happening there is we're kind of having a continuation of the storyline we saw last week in the New York primaries, where we had these Democratic Socialists perform really well. In recent weeks, we've seen his opponent, her opponent, a self-proclaimed Democratic Socialist, really surge with voters and have a lot of enthusiasm. It's going to be particularly interesting in Colorado in a way it was not in New York, because in Colorado, independents make up more than half of the state, and they can choose to vote in either primary that they want. So I think we're going to get a good sense of where independents feel as well, if they are leaning democratically, if they prefer a more traditional progressive, or if they really want new young blood and someone who's willing to wear that socialist label. The other thing I think that we need to watch very closely today is the age of the turnout that we get. Are there a lot of young voters, particularly in that Denver area, going out to the polls? Because that's the kind of thing that would propel a new candidate like that. And there are a lot of folks watching this closely. You can be sure that Zohran Mamdani in New York is watching it. He has backed a number of these Democratic Socialist candidates. At the same time, we know that House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries from New York has backed many of the establishment Democrats that are being challenged. That includes Diana DeGette. And so there's a lot on the line for him as well, and how much his endorsement still continues to carry. So that's really what we'll be watching. This question of, are young voters coming out, and are they pushing out the incumbents, some of whom themselves are progressive, such as DeGette?
And I think you ask a fascinating question about sort of a bellwether with young voters. Does that apply also in the Colorado governor's race?
I would say that it absolutely does, read to a slightly less extent, but there we have Michael Bennet, who's about as establishment Democrat as you can get, a longtime sitting senator. He is well known in the state and is running very much on his record. He's being challenged by Phil Weiser, who's not a Democratic Socialist, but is a fresh face and is focusing on affordability in very much the same way that a lot of these Democratic Socialists did. And there's a weird sort of overlap there where that's frankly what President Trump and a lot of the far right has focused on. So you see how the far left and the far right in terms of messaging focus on the same things. They're trying to get people out who typically don't go to the polls. So that's what that race is going to offer, a more statewide rather than stuck in the Denver area, statewide look at, are young voters going out, and do they have an appetite, do voters in Colorado have an appetite to get a new face representing them in the State House?
Fascinating time. Zak Hudak, great to talk to you. Thank you so much.